Reb David's mitzvah, and it had been this way for over 50 years, was the mitzvah of lighting the first candle of the menorah. Not a big deal. I can do it. Everybody at this table can light it. But no, when Reb David did it, right, he brought down a light from Shemayim into the candle that was absolutely remarkable. And everybody who is in the shul was carried away by the light of Hanukkah at the darkest time of the year. So on this night, the coldest night, and the coldest Hanukkah in the history of Tolna, Reb David stood before the beautiful silver polished menorah. There was the first oil lamp that was prepared. And there was the shamash. And he began to say the brachas. And just as he finished the first word, Baruch, and started to say Atah, he stopped. The shul was silent. For a long time, Reb David did nothing. This had never happened before. Was it a meditation? Maybe the wick wasn't, he thought the wick wouldn't burn properly. What was it? And then he sat down. This was unheard of. Nobody had ever seen this before in the whole history of Tolna. What's going on? He turned to his Hasidim and he said, "Find me Herschel. Find me Herschel." They looked at Reb David quite strangely. But if this is what Reb David wants, this is what he gets. The Rebbe asks, and they go. What was strange about it was Reb Herschel was not really a great learner. He was not a great Talmud Chacham. He was a chassid of the Rebbe, but he wasn't always in shul because he was a farmer. And he was a powerful man. And he was a good man. His distinguishing quality was that he was 6 foot 8 inches tall. In those days, in a place like Tolna, that was a giant. 6 foot 8. Right?
Sorry.
Reb David himself was barely over 5 feet. Was barely over 5 feet. Why did he want this person who was so big but not very learned on Hanukkah? But the Hasidim knew that they could find him easily. All they had to do was look up, right? And in the back of the shul, leaning against the wall, just kind of relaxing. You know, Hanukkah is a time that you can relax a little bit. There was not much farming to do at the time. There was Herschel. And the Hasidim, dressed in their beautiful silk suits and their bekeshers, like a wave came across all the people splitting so they could grab Herschel. And they said, "Herschel, the Rebbe wants you now." Herschel. The Rebbe wants me? Why would the Rebbe want me? We don't know, but he won't light the Hanukkah menorah. And he's asking for you. So let's stop talking and go to the Rebbe. So back they go, right? And again, the crowds open up. Everybody pressed close against each other so that the Hasidim can go. But in the middle of the Hasidim, like a mast above them, is Herschel moving in this wave. And they come to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe looks up at Herschel. The Rebbe's standing up now. He's still looking up at Herschel. Right? He says, "Herschel." He says, "Yes, Rebbe." "Herschel, I'm going to ask you some questions, and everything depends on your answers. So first, Herschel, you have to tell me, will the answers you give me be the absolute truth?" "Yes, Rebbe." Wouldn't lie to the Rebbe. And frankly, Herschel had nothing to hide. He was a very good man. You know? He says, Herschel, tell me, do you love your wife? Do you love your wife? What kind of a question? Early 1800s.
It's confidential.
Nobody asked such a question. Nobody asked such a question. Right? What's going on with the Rebbe? He's losing his mind. Right? Herschel looking, he's dumbstruck. Nobody ever asked him such a question. Right? Rebbe said, Herschel, you gave me your word to answer honestly. Do you love your wife, Sarah? Yes, Rebbe. I love my wife, Sarah. Herschel loves his wife! The Rebbe is so happy. What? Is it a piece of news? It should be in the newspapers. Herschel loves his wife. They always seem to get along well. It was not such a surprise. Herschel. Herschel, tell me. Listen carefully, Herschel. Do you and your wife ever share a confidence, a secret? Do you ever whisper a secret into each other's ears? Herschel, think about what I'm saying. Yes, Reverend. Of course. We've been married many years, and there are things that I share with Sarah that are just between husband and wife. Ah! He tells secrets to his wife between them. And the Rebbe got up from his chair and he started dancing. The Hasidim, you know, Reb David is a great man. But, Herschel, you love your wife. You share secrets with her. So tell me, how do you do it? How do you share secrets with your wife? Now that might have seemed like a strange question. But I left something out, is that Herschel's wife, Sarah, right, wasn't even 5 feet tall. She was, I think, 4'10", right? And he was 6'8", right? So the question is, how do they actually tell each other secrets? Herschel said, Rabbi, I whispered to her. Herschel, exactly how do you do it? Explain it to me. Rabbi, I come to Sarah, and I bend down, right? And I whisper into her ear. Is that it, Herschel? You come to her, you bend down, you whisper in her ear. Is there anything else? No, Rebbe, that's it. I bend over, I whisper in her ear, that's it. Herschel, focus, think. Is there anything else that happens? Everything depends on your answer. Everything. Think, Herschel, think. Herschel's very nervous. You know, he's really on the spot with the Rebbe. You know, I don't know if anybody's ever been called to the principal's office, you know, or to the Manal's office. Right? Manal wants a question answered, the Rosh Hashiva. Right? But a Rebbe, and this was Reb David of Tolna. Think, Herschel, think, is there anything else? I said, Rebbe, I come to Sarah, I bend down, I whisper in her ear. Sometime to hear me better, she stands on her tiptoes. Ah, Baruch Hashem! She stands on her tiptoes, and the Rebbe's dancing, and he's hugging, and he's so happy. And he turns, and he lights the menorah, and then they light the first candle, right? And there is a light that shines that was legendary on that Hanukkah. It says that the light shone out of the shul and lit up the whole town for miles around. That it was the light that was hidden on the first day. It's a very, very holy light. And it was reserved for the tzaddikim and reserved for Mashiach. And this was a light, right? It wasn't a white light. It wasn't a red light. It was a light that touched your very neshama. And this was a Hanukkah that nobody who had been there ever forgot. And they would tell the story to their children. But all of it seems quite strange. And the Hasidim were quite confused as to what had gone on. And on the next day, the elder Hasidim gathered around the Rebbe, and they said, Rebbe, if you don't mind, last night was unusual. Is it possible for you to share with us what happened that we didn't see? And the Rebbe said yes. He said, you know, for 50 years I've been lighting the Hanukkah menorah. And for 50 years people have come from miles and miles around that I should bring the Shekhinah as I light. Tolna is a small place. And Hashem is very great. And who are we? Was I misleading people? You know, there's a Mishnah. There's a Mishnah that says that the Hanukkah lights, that the lights are not about 10 tefachim. And there's another Mishnah that says that the Shekhinah never descends as far as 10 tefachim into this world.
Really?
Yeah. Says when Eliyahu went up to Shemayim, right?
I never heard this.
That he never ascended more than 10 tefachim. Don't ask me to explain the physics of this. Right?
Metaphysics.
I have trouble understanding. But the problem is clear, right? If the Shekhinah doesn't descend below 10 tefachim, and our candles can't be above 10 tefachim, I'm not bringing the Shekhinah. It was all a ruse. And I suddenly realized it. It was all a fabrication. It was all in our minds. And when I realized it, the pain was tremendous, the agony of realizing that I wasn't bringing the Shekhinah, the Tolna, into this world. Because the Shekhinah stayed above the menorah. And the menorah stayed below the Shekhinah. There was a gap. It broke my heart. The Shekhinah is so great. Our menorah, beautiful as it is small in a small town, in a small place. And then I thought of Herschel. Then I thought of Herschel. I don't know why it came into my head. But Herschel is a giant. And his wife is a tiny person. And I thought to myself, how does Herschel do it? Right? And now I understood. Herschel doesn't reach all the way to his wife. But on Hanukkah, like Herschel's wife, we get to stand on our tiptoes and raise ourselves up just a tiny bit where the 10 tefachim meet. Right? And this is what the Hanukkah menorah tells us. That all year long we should stand on our tiptoes and thereby have the connection that we have at Hanukkah with Hashem and the light of Hashem. This is the story of Rabbi David of Tolna on Hanukkah.
Beautiful. Thank you, dear.